What is going on, everyone? I kind of want to talk about the college football poll for the playoff, and number one, obviously, Alabama, number two, Clemson, three, Notre Dame, four, Georgia, and obviously the big topic of discussion it has been 5 and 6, which is Oklahoma and Ohio State. My opinion on this is if Georgia beats Alabama in the SEC championship game, which is obviously a very hard thing to do, and Clemson wins, and then all those teams stay the same over there with Clemson and Notre Dame, I think we got it. I mean, I think right there, then and there, it is what it is. No matter what, if Alabama loses this game, they have shown us so much and just how dominant they really are as a football team that I just can't imagine them not making the playoff. And I think they deserve to, regardless of the loss, regardless of if they don't have a SEC championship. They have showed they are just a dominating force out there this year. So if Georgia somehow does pull off the upset, it's going to stay as is with Clemson doing their thing. Here's where, the big discussion is, because most people have Alabama beating Georgia, keeping up that fourth spot available for Oklahoma or Ohio State. Oklahoma has the chance to beat Texas in a revenge game for the Big 12 championship. Ohio State coming off their dominating performance against Michigan, but having not the greatest wins when it comes to the Maryland close game in overtime and having that win in Nebraska to a really bad team. I think that game was actually at home against Nebraska to make it even worse, but they dominate Michigan. So they play Northwestern in the Big 10 championship. The value of teams there, like, they keep bringing this back to what happened with Cardale Jones and that Ohio State team where they pumped Wisconsin. They were the 6th. They end up jumping over, making the 4th, and winning the national championship. I just don't see that happening with this circumstance because they could pump Northwestern, and I know Northwestern puts up good fights, and they're a hardworking blue-collar team, but they don't have the same stature as other squads. So if Oklahoma, no matter how close it is, beats Texas, a really good team for the Big 12 championship in a redemption format, no matter if Ohio State wins by 40 or not against Northwestern, I think Oklahoma's going to sneak into that spot as long as Georgia loses. And I say that because the value of their opponent. Now, it's an uncontrollable. It's not like Ohio State can control that, but it is what it is. Northwestern's not the greatest football team. Texas is more of a dominating team, and it's more of an impressive win. And you can't factor out the fact that Ohio State big-time 29-point loss to Purdue is going to really, really kill them at the end of the day. I just think if Oklahoma takes care of business and Georgia loses to Alabama, no matter how big of the margin is in victory, and no matter how dominating Ohio State looks against a Northwestern team, in my opinion, I have to put Oklahoma in that position. It's the entire length of the season that this group of people look at to put teams in the playoff, and it can't go unnoticed that Maryland overtime win where Maryland went for 2 and lost, and that Nebraska win, which was really ugly, and the loss to Purdue, that can't go unnoticed. I don't care if there was one dominating win against Michigan. There's enough in that Ohio State season that says, in my opinion. And I'm not even biased because I don't care. I don't care. This is me personally looking at the poll and what was put out today and what can possibly happen after these games. I just can't imagine Oklahoma not getting in if they take care of business and Alabama beats Georgia. They have the more impressive resume. Northwestern is not as talented as Texas. It's not as an impressive win. If Ohio State just destroys them, it's just not. That's the reality of it. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible. I feel like we've seen crazier things before. There is a chance the committee puts Ohio State in there, with the circumstances playing out as I said. The one thing that would just piss me off the most is if Alabama loses and they don't get in. I can't imagine that happening, but I would have to take a look at the committee and say, you are ridiculously wrong. If Ohio State does make it in Oklahoma, I'm not going to outrage and say that was the most insane thing ever. But if Alabama loses and they don't put them in, yeah, that is on a whole nother level of disappointing, because they've clearly showed throughout the entire season they are the most dominating football team in college football, and they deserve to be in the top 4. But who am I? Who am I? I'm just a guy who yells at my laptop in the basement. But let me know your thoughts on the college football poll. I'm very interested to see these games this weekend. It's going to be a tremendous weekend for college football. I'm very excited for it, and there's a lot on the line, so it's going to be entertaining for sure. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.